Hello and welcome back to Total Football Analysis. I'm your commentator Harry Symeou, and once again I'm joined by the brilliant Lee Scott as we bring you live coverage of the Bundesliga. It's Der Klassiker this evening between Borussia Dortmund and Bayern Munich. It's the top two in Germany, and what a game we have in store for you this evening. Joining me, Lee, welcome back, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Harry, how are you?
Not too bad, my friend. Looking forward to this one. A nice early kickoff, and we've got some more Bundesliga games to enjoy later on, at least as well. So a pretty jam-packed evening of football. The Klassiker, it's the biggest game in Germany. I don't think there's any doubt about that. Dortmund must win if they're going to close the gap on Bayern Munich. A win for the home side would close the gap on Bayern Munich to just a solitary point. And I think there'll be 6 games remaining after this one. So if they're going to have any chance of nicking the title from Bayern Munich, they've got to win today, haven't they, Lee?
I think so. I think that at this stage of the season, when Bayern Munich really start to click into form, obviously they stuttered at the start of the season under the previous manager, Niko Kovac. Since they've appointed Hansi Flick, though, we have seen a huge upturn in their form. I think that going into this game, Dortmund need to find a way to quickly take control of the match to prevent Bayern from dominating. If Bayern settle into their normal possession-orientated style, it's going to be extremely difficult for Dortmund to come away with anything, I think.
Absolutely. Guys, if you're listening to us via the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel, do head over to the Hot Mic app. Download it using the promo code TFA2020 and you can sync our pictures with the our commentary, apologies, not pictures. You can sync our commentary with your BT Sport pictures. If you are watching the game on a different TV channel, it may be a little bit more difficult, but you can do it using the manual buttons. So please do try and give that a go. We'll be bringing you markers throughout the game to help you sync it up as closely as possible. And we'll be bringing you some analytical coverage of this game. Far more analytical than you'll find anywhere else. And I have Lee to thank for that. Now, Lee, Bayern have won 5 of the last 6 matches between these two sides. An average of almost 5 goals per game as well. So are we expecting goals tonight?
I think so. I think it's hard to expect anything else. I think that's kind of the theme that we've seen since the Bundesliga came back from the lockdown. I think that a lot of the games that we've watched so far have been quite goal heavy. I wouldn't expect anything else in this game. Both teams are very attacking. Neither likes to sit deep in defensive block to try and frustrate the opposition. They'll both try to get forward. It'll just be a case of which team can get forward more effectively. And I think that's really going to be one of the keys. I think that if Dortmund are to have any chance, they need to find a way to negate the attacking threat of Alphonso Davies from left back for Bayern Munich. And that'll mean pinning him back by positioning players up the pitch in areas that Davies would normally vacate when he attacks. So I think that'll be one of the key tactical battles that we see as the game starts. But certainly I would expect to see quite a few goals tonight.
Fingers crossed you're right, Lee. We're in need of a good goal fest, seeing as football's been away for so long. I'm very much looking forward to this one. Let's take you through the 2 starting lineups, starting with the home side, Borussia Dortmund. It's Roman Bürki in goal. It's a back 3 of Lucas Piszczek, Matt Hummels and Manuel Akanji. Achraf Hakimi and Rafael Guerreiro will occupy the wing-back positions, with a central midfield pairing of Thomas Delaney and Mahmoud Dahoud. Ahead of them, it's Torgan Hazard, the number 23, alongside Julian Brandt, who we saw is so fluid in his movement in the last game of Dortmund's that we covered, which was the derby between themselves and Schalke. We saw them really come to life in that game. And of course, leading the line, it is the main man for Borussia Dortmund. Erling Braut Haaland leads the line, looking for his 14th goal of the Bundesliga season. Who stands out in that team for you? I mean, it's not too different. I don't think it's any different actually from the side that we saw against Schalke. Still no Jadon Sancho, but who are you looking at as the key men here, Lee?
I think you've already touched upon Julian Brandt. I think that his performances will be key for Dortmund in this game. His ability to drop into spaces between the lines of Bayern Munich's midfield and defence and receive the ball in those spaces is really what makes the Dortmund attack tick. But the way they progress the ball, they move the ball forwards from the central defenders into those spaces where Torgan Hazard and Julian Brandt will try to occupy in the half space. But don't sleep on the fact that the fullbacks, the wing backs for Dortmund are so important. Both Rafa Guerreiro and Achraf Hakimi are really consistent with their ability to get into the opposition penalty area and both set up and score chances of their own.
Absolutely. Let's take you through the Bayern Munich lineup. It's Manuel Neuer in goal. He's, of course, the skipper as well. It's a back four. Benjamin Pavard, Jerome Boateng, David Alaba and Alphonso Davies. Joshua Kimmich and Leon Goretzka in the middle of the park. Kingsley Coman, Thomas Muller and Serge Gnabry will provide support to Robert Lewandowski. We've got two fantastic centre forwards on show, haven't we, this evening, Lee? It's very difficult to predict anything, but are you expecting both of them to have a huge say on the way this game goes?
I certainly think so. I think the thing is that they are very traditional as far as centre forwards go. They're players who like to be the focal point of the attack. They like to stay high up the field and occupy the centre halves and then provide the reference point for their team to find as they move into the final third. Unlike the likes of Roberto Firmino at Liverpool, for example, who prefers to drop it deeper areas where he can effectively play. But Haaland and Lewandowski are two top-class strikers, obviously very different points of their career, and it looks likely that Haaland may well inherit the throne of Lewandowski as one of the most effective goal scorers in world football if he continues his goal-scoring form.
Absolutely. Guys, don't forget, if you're watching us on the Hot Mic app, hit that follow button, follow Total Football Analysis, and you'll never miss a broadcast. And of course, you can share our broadcast via the app. Please do so with all your friends and family or anybody that you know who may be tuned into this game. We'll be providing you some real analytical coverage of this Der Klassiker between Borussia Dortmund and FC Bayern Munich. Also, by way of updates, the TFA magazine is now weekly. Do head over to totalfootballanalysis.com for more information. You can subscribe. It's the same price and you get pretty much plenty more for your money, so it's well worth it. Also, the EFL podcast brought to you by Total Football Analysis is out, and feel free to send in your questions via the Hot Mic app during the game, and we'll do our best to answer those whilst we're covering the game. And so you can see the examples that Lee brings to the table in the flesh whilst you're watching the game. Great stuff. We had some really good questions during our last game, so we look forward to interacting with you guys along the way once again. And Lee, we've got a question already from Harshal, who says, how difficult will it be for Bayern to progress the ball centrally without Thiago? Of course, Thiago Alcantara is not in the side today.
Thiago is a key component for Bayern Munich in the way that they progress the ball through the thirds. While Dortmund progress the ball through the centre halves into the half spaces, as we've already touched upon with Brandt especially, key in receiving the ball in those areas, the system for Munich is different. So they don't progress as much through the centre half. David Alaba is a progressive passer of the ball. Jerome Boateng can pass progressively, but they like to use their midfield. So it tends to be Thiago and Joshua Kimmich who will drop it to deeper areas to receive the ball and then progress the ball forward. Now, while Thiago is an extremely capable progressive passer, he's actually not the best progressive passer of this Bayern team. That's Joshua Kimmich. So expect to see Kimmich take on more of a role at coming back to accept possession from the centre halves before he can then try to break the lines of the Dortmund midfield to find the likes of Thomas Muller, who, as we know, is excellent at finding pockets of space that he can move into and receive the ball.
Brilliant stuff. Another question coming through. They're all coming through now. Guys, get your questions over and we'll get through as many of those as we possibly can when the game allows us to. This one comes from Benj1871. And Lee, we touched on him earlier on. Julian Brandt, is he the key for Dortmund to unlock Bayern? That's the question.
I think so. I think we mentioned it in the first game that we did with the Bundesliga return, that Dortmund-Schalke game that you referenced, but Julian Brandt's such an interesting player because he originally broke through as a left winger or a striker. Gradually at Bayer Leverkusen, we saw him converted into that 8 role in the centre midfield, where he could be a little bit more involved with plays from central areas, and that's certainly why I believe Borussia Dortmund went out their way to bring him to Dortmund. It was as an 8, as a player who he doesn't play in the same line, he doesn't play in the same kind of areas as you'll see the midfielders Mahmoud Dahoud and Thomas Delaney for Dortmund today. They'll stay compact and deep and just try to shield the defence, whereas we see Julian Brandt play not on paper, on the pictures. If you see the formation laid out, it looks like he's playing as a left attacking midfielder. He's far more of a central midfielder who'll affect the game in those half spaces, but his ability to drop in, to receive the ball and then to pass creatively from those spaces, those platforms that he creates in those areas, that's one of the keys for Dortmund. And look for the interaction between Brandt and the wing backs as they move forward, and with Erling Haaland as he looks to stretch behind the Bayern defence to try and get in on goal.
You make a great point there, and you're absolutely right that Brandt is likely to drift inside, and we're going to see Guerrero probably coming down that left-hand side in order to occupy that space. So lots of tactical stuff in this game, lots to look out for, lots of intelligent play. We're going to see it from both sides. Two fantastic footballing teams separated by just 4 points at the moment at the top of the Bundesliga. RB Leipzig, of course, with a great result of the weekend, but they lost ground last weekend, and now it's very much, in my opinion, a two-horse race. If Dortmund can close the gap this evening, we've got one hell of a title race on our hands. We're going to come back to some of your questions just momentarily. We're seeing pictures coming live from the Signal Iduna Park. Lee, of course, there is no crowd in the stadium this evening, and we know that safety comes first, etc., etc. But how much of an impact is that going to have? Because Borussia Dortmund have such a passionate home crowd, and that often makes such a huge difference for them. Is it going to change the dynamic of this game much?
I think it certainly does. I mean, obviously, Bayern still have to travel up to Dortmund for the match. They still have that aspect of not playing in their home stadium. But a trend that we're starting to see from the Bundesliga and from Bundesliga 2 as well since its restart is that home advantage seems to be far less than it would be if the crowds were present in the stadium. Crowds in Germany are well known for being passionate and getting behind their team and supporting their team as much as they possibly can. So for Dortmund to be without that notorious yellow wall, to be missing the crowd noise and the interaction that the crowd has with the game as things are happening on the pitch can be huge. So I think it's something to definitely keep an eye on as weeks go on, especially as more leagues start to open up following the lockdown too. It'll be interesting to see if that trend's borne out.
Absolutely. The players are out on the pitch at the moment, and guys, if you have left us a question, we are going to come back to those as soon as we possibly can. We'll be getting through as many of those as possible throughout this broadcast. We hope you're enjoying it, and if you haven't managed to sync the pictures with your the commentary, I keep saying pictures, can't sync the pictures with the pictures. You can sync the commentary with the pictures though, and if you haven't managed to do that just yet, please do use the manual buttons on the app. It is possible to do it that way as well, and we'll be doing our best throughout to provide you with as many markers as possible to make that easier for you. Lee, Borussia Dortmund, as we keep saying, they need to win this game if they're going to stand any chance of catching Bayern Munich. Are you expecting a braver approach from them? Are you expecting them to surrender possession to Bayern Munich and play on the counter-attack, or do you think they'll try and take the game by the scruff of the neck that little bit more?
Possession isn't really a part of Dortmund's game, whereas Bayern are more dominant in terms of the way they like to control the ball. They tend to have possession well upwards of 60% in most matches when they're on form. Dortmund are far more transitional, so they like to get the ball and attack very quickly through quick vertical passes and vertical runs from deep that kind of support the ball from that area. I think that's what we're going to see. But the most important thing that Dortmund need to do, they need to put a little bit of doubt in this Bayern team. They need to stop those runs from Alphonso Davies on the left-hand side, whether that's by positioning Torgan Hazard right out against the wing in the space where Davies will tend to vacate as he moves forward, or whether that's in just hitting that space as early as possible when they get the ball. They need to try and pin the Bayern team back a little bit on the left-hand side and force them to find other ways to play through. That's the way that Dortmund will get control of the game. But they won't be overawed by this Bayern team. I think Dortmund, despite their young age of many of their players, they're well used to this kind of occasion, and they know how important this match is tonight.
Absolutely. As we're ready for kickoff here, the two teams just paying tribute to those who have sadly lost their lives to the coronavirus, which of course saw the Bundesliga and pretty much every other league around the world drawn to a halt. The Bundesliga the first to come back. Things have gone quite well so far, and fingers crossed that will provide inspiration to the rest in terms of getting their competitions back underway when it is of course safe to do so. Dortmund are going to kick us off. They're attacking from left to right in their traditional yellow. We're underway. Erling Braut Haaland plays it back straight to Matt Hummels in the defence. Dortmund in possession. Early on, you can see Bayern just pushing really high up the pitch to try and squeeze Dortmund into their own half. Berkey with the long clearance towards Haaland up top. Wins the header. Flicked on brilliantly. Brandt with a lovely ball in behind there. Dortmund with an early opportunity, but out came Manuel Neuer. Haaland's picked it up now though. Neuer's well out of his goal and Haaland puts it under his legs, but it's cleared off the line. Frantic start here at the Signal Iduna Park. Erling Braut Haaland giving Manuel Neuer something to think about.
Certainly did there, and that was just a very simple move, the long kick out from the goalkeeper. Haaland did very well to win the ball in the air, but that's something he does. He'll come shorter to try and win those flick-ons before then advancing forward. Very lucky that Bayern had a player drop back on the defensive line there to cover for Manuel Neuer.
We saw the advantages of Manuel Neuer coming out in the first instance when he got there ahead of the Dortmund attacker, but you also see the disadvantages because when that ball does break to the next player, he was in a real problem position.
Definitely, that's always a problem with sweeper keepers. They're great when they come out and clear their lines as effectively as we saw Neuer do in the first instance, but then we saw the negative side as well very much come to the fore.
Here is Alphonso Davies for Bayern Munich. Here's Joshua Kimmich inside the centre circle for the Bundesliga champions looking to retain the title once more. Been extremely dominant in recent years. Here's Josh Kimmich. Boateng. David Alaba. Very comfortable on that left foot. Happy to look up. Happy to play football from the back. Here come Dortmund looking to stage some sort of counter-attack.
We saw just as Dortmund broke clear that Erling Haaland was already on his way. He was gesticulating for the ball and behind the defence. That's something to see more often. Despite the fact that he can win the ball in the air, as we've already seen, he's more dangerous when he's running in behind with that pace that he has. He's deceptively quick, and he'll look to stretch the pace behind the Bayern Munich defence whenever he gets the chance.
That leads me nicely into a question that we've had come through from Rosh Rao, and he says, how much will the threat of Haaland force Bayern's defensive line deeper? So that's an observation that people have made here. Will Bayern slightly change their approach in your view, or will they continue to play their way and just hope that they don't get caught out?
A side like Bayern Munich are likely to play their game regardless. They will be more aware of it, and certainly I would expect to see Erling Haaland look to pull more over towards the side where Jerome Boateng's defending. He'll try and leave David Alaba as much as he can because Alaba's very quick himself and will be able to deal with the threat of the pace. Whereas Boateng's slightly aging now, he doesn't have the same pace he did before. So that's a small technical tweak that we should see from Haaland. He'll soon identify that that's where he'll get the most joy, to expect to see him on that side more. But certainly I think Bayern will still play in possession with their high line. It'll just be a case of whether Dortmund can hit them on the break 2 or 3 times to push that line back.
Ball played out to this right-hand side for Achraf Hakimi. Takes it down on his chest. Under a little bit of pressure there from Serge Gnabry. With Delaney now, switches the ball out to that left-hand side. Guerrero's got forward, he cuts the ball back. Julian Brandt inside the Bayern penalty area, fires from the edge of the box. Easy save from Manuel Neuer. But it's another attempt at goal for Borussia Dortmund. We're just 3.5 minutes in.
Yeah, certainly no sign of Dortmund sitting back and looking to play their way into the game. They've came straight out and they're looking to press high and win the ball back and then get back on the attack as quickly as they can. But Brandt has that ability to hit the ball from those areas. He likes that ball just from the corner of the penalty area when he can try and bend the ball at the far corner past the goalkeeper. His execution was obviously off on that occasion.
Here is Alphonso Davies on this left-hand side. Looks to play Gnabry in behind, but the ball's cut out there. Bayern have a throw-in. Taken quickly. Davies forced back. Lays it off to David Alaba. Here's Josh Kimmich. Round about the halfway line for Bayern Munich. Back to Boateng. Looks up. Thinks about squaring it to David Alaba. Decides against it. Plays it out to this right-hand side. Pavard. Müller. Here come Bayern. Robert Lewandowski from the angle against his former club. Shot blocked. You can see already this is going to be an entertaining encounter. We hope anyway, but it certainly started in the right fashion.
Certainly hasn't. We saw there the importance of the position of Thomas Müller. In the first game with Bayern that we covered, he played more from the right-hand side for the majority of the game before moving centrally later on. In this game, he's starting centrally, so he's up in support of Robert Lewandowski as much as he can be. He's one, like Julian Brandt, he's very good at finding those pockets of space, and he'll look to receive the ball like that before laying off first time and creating opportunities for his teammates.
Don't forget, if you are watching us via the Hot Mic app, don't forget to hit that like button. It's so important. Please do just hit that button. It just takes a split second of your time. Here's Hakimi coming down this right-hand side. Can he keep it in? It looked like the ball just creeped out of play there The linesman agrees, and it'll be a Bayern Munich throw-in.
Replacing Hakimi is likely to be one of Dortmund's biggest challenges this off-season when it eventually comes after the completion of the season. He's due to go back to Real Madrid following a 2-year loan deal, and finding a player that fits that profile, so given that the wing-backs are so important for Dortmund in this system, will be essential for them. It'll be interesting to see what kind of profile they look for and what kind of players they look to bring in.
Dortmund under pressure at the back there as Lewandowski and co press the Dortmund defence when in possession. Balls come out to this right-hand side. Achraf Hakimi takes it under control. Mahmoud Dahoud plays it back to Hummels, who looks to switch the play, but the pass is slightly short. Dortmund recover possession though. Here's Julian Brandt, constantly dropping inside, infield, making himself available and also vacating that space for Guerrero on that left-hand side to get forward and provide support to the Dortmund front line. Here's Hummels now, Piszczek. Knocked forward towards Haaland, flicks it on, here's Hazard. Looks to have escaped the attentions of his man, plays Haaland in behind. Haaland from the angle, looked as though he was trying to cut it back there, but there was Alphonso Davies showing that incredible recovery pace that we just see time and time again from him.
His pace is incredible. You'll quite often see him in really high positions as Bayern are attacking. And then in the transitional moments, just when you think that the opposition are going to get into that space and attack, he'll recover ground faster than you expect him to. And he's also very strong, very good challenger for the ball.
Dortmund have a corner from this right-hand side. Going to be delivered left-footed. Plenty of players in the box. Flicked on at the near post, but cleared by Bayern Munich. But it's going to come back again. Guerrero just about kept it in there. Lewandowski back doing some defensive work. Alphonso Davies will chase the loose ball, but Dortmund have possession, and it's all the way back now with Roman Bürki in the goal. Brought past to Hakimi, wearing the number 5 shirt on this right-hand side. Wins a throw-in for his team. Gives everybody a opportunity to reset now.
Usually about the 10th minute mark we see the game start to settle down, but obviously it's been very transitional so far. Both sides have been trying to create chances and break through on goal, so it's likely that we're going to see more of the same as the half progresses until somebody eventually breaks through. Then you might see the tempo of the game change slightly.
Here is David Alaba.
There's Kimmich in that position we talked about before the game, looking to receive the ball, then move it on from the centre halves. He'll drop deep far more than Leo Goretzka will.
Big hello to everybody currently tuned in via the Total Football Analysis YouTube page. Don't forget to head over to the Hot Mic app. You can sign up using the code TFA2020 and sync our commentary with your pictures. Here come Dortmund down this right-hand side. Opportunity to get the ball in the box. It's Hazard. Cuts it back. Haaland takes a touch and looks to get a shot away with his left foot. It's blocked. It falls to Hakimi. Another chance to get it into the box, and the ball's turned in, but it looks as though the flag is up. It is.
Very unfortunate there, but it looked like the right decision just from you see the player was offside there as he receives the ball. I think the player who finishes in the box looked onside, but the player that crossed the ball in was definitely off, I believe.
Let off for Bayern Munich. It was offside, of course, but just a warning sign once more. Dortmund are getting in behind here. Dortmund are causing Bayern Munich all sorts of problems in the early stages of this game.
It may be the question that we got beforehand regarding the absence of Thiago may be an important factor. With Thiago and Kimmich, there's obviously extra control in midfield, whereas Goretzka.
Lewandowski fires a speculative effort, never really going to trouble Roman Bürki from that angle, and it was very difficult for him to generate enough power.
Yeah, as I was saying, Leo Goretzka is more of a runner. He's a player who will look to get up and support the front instead of playing the progressive passes or dropping deep to receive the ball. So perhaps the absence of Thiago will be more of a factor than I may have expected prior to the match.
Here's Kimmich. on this right-hand side for Bayern. Pavard inside to Boateng. Now, David Alaba. He looks to step into the midfield, switches the play to this left-hand side. Here's Alphonso Davies. Delivers into the penalty area. It's headed clear there by Matt Hummels. The rock in the middle of this Borussia Dortmund defence. Here's Davies again. Now Kimmich delivers into the penalty box towards Lewandowski. Towards Muller, my apologies. It was Muller that made the run across from that right-hand side, doing what he does so often, taking up dangerous positions in the penalty area really, really late. Signs from both teams. They've not come here to sit back. They've both come here to win. And they've both come here to attack.
That was a very simple movement. You saw just beforehand that Lewandowski dropped off slightly towards the edge of the penalty area and he took Hummels with him. And as soon as Hummels moved out, you saw Thomas Muller look to burst into that space that he'd left behind.
Dortmund have possession again after Neuer came out and couldn't quite make the clearance he would have liked. Here is Julian Brandt. He's pulled up on this right-hand side now. Delaney. Ball in behind. Haaland would chase it. Alphonso Davies has the pace to get there though and keeps it in brilliantly. If Haaland is looking to expose someone in that Bayern Munich defence for a lack of pace, it's not going to be Alphonso Davies, is it?
It's certainly not. As I say, expected to be Boateng as the game progresses a little more. Alphonso Davies has that recovery pace, as is David Alaba.
Kingsley Coman fouled there, no doubt about it. It was a foul, and it's going to be the first yellow card of the game from Manuel Akanji. Was it Hummels or Akanji? Just having a quick look at it. It was Hummels, my apologies. Just tugs back at Kingsley Coman there, who was away.
Hummels plays centrally now for Dortmund in that three-man defence just because he doesn't have the pace when he's pulled out into wide areas like that. As soon as the attacker spins him, especially a player like Coman who has great pace, as soon as he's spun in that area, Hummels knows that he won't be able to recover. So it was an important foul to take, I think.
Here is Serge Gnabry. Delivers left-footed into the penalty area. Lewandowski will stretch, but he can't get there. Here's Pavard now on this right-hand side. Kingsley Coman. Kimmich. Looks to play a 1-2 with Muller. Bayern lose possession, but they might have it back. No, they've lost it again. Here come the home side down this left-hand side now. Opportunity to get men forward, but Dahoud just can't keep that in.
Again, though, we see Dortmund looking for the transitional attack. They're not interested in keeping possession and changing the angle of attack and allowing players to get into advanced areas. They look to move forward as quickly as possible, always looking to exploit spaces that Bayern leave behind.
Absolutely. As Bayern look to try and play Kingsley Coman in behind, but the pass was overhit. Not really sure that the angle was there either. Josh Kimmich gave it a go, nonetheless. Here's Dahoud. 1-2 with Guerrero. Julian Brandt's come deep to pick up possession. Ball towards Piszczek, but he can't control that frustrating, sloppy way to give away possession.
The tempo of the game is just slowing slightly as both teams are now getting more embedded in the game. They're used to the tempo, they're used to the pace a little bit more, so we should see less mistakes from this point onwards. But that pass across from Brandt obviously was an error. His passing is usually excellent, and to miss Piszczek by quite that distance was poor from the German international.
Dortmund have had 58% of the possession so far, which is
Very
surprising.
unusual.
Exactly,
Yes,
because
absolutely.
we were talking, weren't we, pre-game about the fact that that's not really their game, and we still, in spite of them needing to win this game, we still expected Bayern to come here and I guess dictate the tempo of the game, but that hasn't happened as of yet.
No, we've seen a couple of times now where Dortmund have had possession in the midfield and they've gone back slightly and then looked for the quick change with a diagonal pass across the opposite side of the field. That could be something that's a specific part of the game plan for this match. Normally they're just more vertical in their passing and movement, looking to get the ball forward, but obviously against an opponent like Bayern, it's likely that they've got some specific mechanisms in place to allow the ball to get into areas that their coach feels like will be exploitable.
Ball played around the corner there from Guerrero. Here's Hazard. Looks to turn and play Haaland in, but the pass is blocked. Brandt will switch the play. Hakimi. Piszczek's making that overlapping run. Hakimi doesn't need him though. Drives in field, left-footed. Looks to play the ball across the field, but it was cut out. Poor pass in the end. And Bayern have an opportunity to get forward themselves here, but they've just hesitated a little bit there, thanks to some good pressure from the Dortmund front line.
Both teams just been slightly hesitant in possession at the moment. Unusual to see Piszczek making that overlapping run on Hakimi. That's something we don't see very often these days from Piszczek, where one of the wide centre halves to be pushing that far forward. I think he would have been less than impressed that the ball was given away quite so lazily by Hakimi when he tried the crossfield ball.
Lewandowski just popping up on that right hand side for Bayern Munich. Muller's occupied that position in the middle now. Just seeing the fluidity between the two and how that can be so difficult to mark from a central defensive point of view.
Yeah, the key is when Lewandowski does that, he's looking for the opportunities to then make a run into the penalty area from a deeper position. It's far harder for the centre halves to pick that run up when Lewandowski's coming from deeper areas or from wide areas and looking to burst into the penalty area. And obviously, if he gets an opportunity in around the penalty area, it's going to be extremely dangerous for Dortmund.
Bayern Munich have a throw in on this near side. 17 minutes played here at Signal Iduna Park. It's Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 0. Here come the home side. Here's Hazard, takes it down on his chest. Boateng got back to close out the angle for him. Here's Delaney. Now Akanji. Now to this left hand side. Guerrero takes a touch, plays it inside. Julian Brandt's there. Nice exchange of passes from the Dortmund trio there. Here's Matt Hummels out to this right hand side. Hakimi takes it in his stride. He'll look to drive forward. Dahoud plays it outside to Hazard, taking up position on the right but dispossessed. Bayern win a throw-in for their troubles. Joshua Kimmich there with some excellent work.
It was good work, but it was sloppy again from Dortmund. The opportunity to play into Haaland's feet was passed up once already in that move. I think they need to be a little bit braver in finding that pass earlier as opposed to just recycling possession, looking for the perfect opportunity down the wide areas, which is where they seem to be looking to exploit Bayern. They look to be trying to play down the sides of centre halves into those half spaces or wide spaces to get the ball into the box.
Here's Serge Gnabry. Been relatively quiet compared to his usual self this evening, but it's still early doors. Goretzka plays it out to this right hand side. Muller's taking up position, dinks it inside. Opportunity for Coman maybe to find a teammate in the middle of the penalty area. Here's Serge Gnabry, and it's the commentator's curse almost, because Serge Gnabry's just had an effort cleared off of the goal line.
That was extremely close. It would have been one for you, especially when you're just saying how quiet he's been. But that was just pure defending from Dortmund. The ball should never have been allowed to travel that far into the penalty area with no challenge on the ball. And I think that's both teams now having shots cleared off the line in the opening 20 minutes.
Lovely bit of work there from Dahoud. Great footwork. Here's Julian Brandt. Haaland's ahead of him. Can he find Hakimi on the right hand side? He didn't. Fouled eventually. Serge Gnabry still can't believe he's missed that chance.
No, quite. And you see the space he has when he receives the ball and then being able to twist and turn and find that pass there in the edge of the 6 yard box where no Dortmund midfielder or defender to be tracking that run is criminal. Opportunities like that aren't passed up very often at this level, so Dortmund can count themselves very lucky.
Both sides, as you said, Lee, having chances cleared off of the goal line. No shortage of goal line drama in this first 20 minutes at Signal Iduna Park. But the score remains 0-0. Serge Gnabry almost making me eat my words. But he has been quiet up until now. But just a sign there of what quality players can do. They can pop up at any time. They can take up those crucial positions and make their opponents pay.
Definitely. And I think that's the third time now we've seen Hakimi give the ball away with a really sloppy piece of play for Dortmund. Any more than that, and he's at danger of catching the ire of his coach, I think. Time and time again, the ball's coming across to him in positions where he should be able to affect the play, and he's just losing his concentration, which is one of the big negatives about his game still, and one of the reasons why people are so unsure whether he will break into the Real Madrid first team when he goes back to Madrid at the end of the season.
Here's David Alaba. Don't forget, if you're watching us via the Hot Mic app, give us a like. Share the broadcast with all your friends and family. And if you haven't already, give us a follow. Total Football Analysis, bringing you an alternative soundtrack to some of your favourite football matches with Lee's excellent analysis.
It was interesting, we just saw David Alaba, here he's again in possession. We just saw him stepping right out into the opposition half of the field. That's a sign perhaps that Bayern are looking for answers to find their way through this defensive block.
Here come the home side once again. Hazard just sloppy in possession there. It's almost as though just lost track of where the ball was under his feet as Lewandowski looks to spin away from Matt Hummels there. Bayern have another opportunity to get into the Dortmund penalty area. Here's Kingsley Coman on that right hand side. Looks to put a cross in. It's blocked there by Akanji. Good defensive work from the centre back. Kimmich chests it down. Goretzka not happy with the decision given there. High boot. Dortmund have possession deep inside their own half. Ball played forward towards Haaland. Hummels steps out. The defence does brilliantly. He looks to release Haaland, but the pass was a poor one. Of course, there is more Bundesliga action this evening. And as always, Total Football Analysis will be providing you with some tactical analysis pieces of the Bundesliga fixtures. Am I right in saying that all the games that are taking part will be covered in the coming days, Lee?
Yes, they will be. And if you check out the website just before the next round of fixtures as well, you can find some tactical previews of the matches. There was a tactical preview of this game, for example, that was done by Felix, one of our guys who's actually based over in Austria, and it was an excellent breakdown of what you could expect from the two teams. So if you want a little bit of insight before you come into these hot mic commentaries that we do, then it's a great way to get some information on the match beforehand. Give a little bit of context of what we're speaking about.
Here's Coman on the right hand side, fires goalwards. It's a good save from Berkey, and eventually it's hooked clear by Matt Hummels, but Bayern will come again. Pavard. Now Coman back inside to Pavard. Muller, not sure if he was on or off there, but Bayern have won a corner. You see it again. Kingsley Coman, he takes a touch, he fires it goalwards. Looks to go across the goalkeeper, which is the right thing to do, but it was a good height for Roman Berkey.
It was a good block as well, but Muller there, you see his unconventional style when he followed up there with his attempt to get that high ball as it bounced. But we've already seen since the restart how dangerous Bayern are from corner kicks.
Here comes the corner from Kimmich, delivered right-footed, looked to be flicked on at the near post. Not sure there was contact though. Dortmund looked to build a counter-attack here. Guerrero on this right-hand side for once. Try and get it clear. It will roll out for a Dortmund goal kick. Just seeing this again as the ball was struck against Guerrero's arm. His arm was down by his side. It's not anything more than an accident for me.
It can be difficult to tell sometimes. You're never sure these days whether a penalty, whether a handball or a ball hitting the arm is going to be given or not. There's just so much inconsistency with the way that games are officiated.
Agreed. It's one of the bigger problems in football, and it doesn't seem to have improved with VAR either, which is a real shame.
Again, there we saw Hakimi being the player who gave the ball away and broke down the Dortmund attack. Dortmund are still looking to access this space on this side, but it's becoming more and more difficult if he keeps doing so. Here's
Lewandowski driving forward. He's got options to his right. A good challenge there from the Dortmund man. And the Yellows recover possession. Here's Delaney out to this right-hand side. Here's Hazard. Hakimi's made that move on the right-hand side. Here he'll find him. Can he be a little bit more useful in the final third, as he so often is? Here's Julian Brandt looking to engineer the space for the shot. Instead, he lays it off to Dahoud. Back to Brandt. Under pressure, though. Muller did brilliantly to come back there and almost pick the pocket of Julian Brandt. Brilliant.
That's a side of his game that we don't see very often. You don't often see Thomas Muller making those runs back in to support the defence. But it was key there. Again, though, we saw hesitancy from Dortmund when they had the opportunity to break into the penalty area.
Seeing that challenge again from Piszczek on his Polish teammate there, Robert Lewandowski.
A former Dortmund teammate as well. They'd been teammates while Lewandowski was at Dortmund.
Wonder if they'll be sharing a drink after this one. Here's Kimmich. A soft drink, of course. Here's Guerrero coming down his left-hand side. Just checked his run there. Muller again, doing brilliantly to hold him up. Here's Delaney. Involved in a battle there with Benjamin Pavard, and he's won a free kick for his troubles.
I think another thing we need to take note of in this match is this is the first time we've seen a midweek round of fixtures since the Bundesliga returned. Whether there'll be some conditioning issues or issues with their training loads that lead to players tiring more quickly, it's something to keep an eye on as the game progresses.
Absolutely. But on the other hand, I'm glad that this game wasn't the first one, because we saw there was a real lack of rhythm at times, a lack of intensity. Yes. So it's good that this game has come 2-3 games into the restart. Here's Julian Brandt, cuts it back. Guerrero delivers into the box towards Haaland, looks for an acrobatic effort. It'll come all the way to this right hand side where Hakimi's got forward. He delivers low, it's cleared by David Alaba. Dahoud delivers, cross blocked. Deflects its way through to Brandt on this left hand side. Delivers back into the box towards Haaland. Important head on it once again from the Bayern Munich defender.
It was very well defended. I think it was David Alaba who challenged Haaland at the back post there.
A few challenges going in now, particularly from Lukas Piszczek on Lewandowski again. Clash of knees almost there, but that's a painful one. Don't forget, guys, get your questions into the live chat and we'll come to as many of them as we possibly can throughout the half-time break. Don't forget, if you're watching us via Hot Mic, hit that like button, hit the share button. If you're watching us on YouTube, head over to the app and you can sync our commentary with your BT Sport pictures. If you're watching via another provider, then we are currently on the 28th minute and 17th second. Use the manual sync buttons. If you're having trouble, of course, with the automatic feature, Hakimi just involved in a discussion with the linesman there on his near side. Short break in play here. Lee, in your opinion, who will be the happier of the two bosses so far?
So far, you've got to say with Lucien Favre for Dortmund. Most of their attacks are still coming predominantly down this right-hand side. I think that they need to find a way to access the left a little bit more, especially given the fact that Hakimi keeps seeming to lose concentration at key moments, perhaps accessing Guerrero a little bit and bringing Julian Brandt into the ball progression, the build-up a little bit more than they have done could be effective. But Bayern will be looking for ways to change this game as well. They haven't really... They've had the odd chance, obviously that shot that was cleared off the line. Thomas Muller made a good run centrally that could have caused confusion in the Dortmund defence. But so far, Dortmund will be the happier team.
I guess that's partly to do with the fact that because Alphonso Davies does get forward so often, there's often a gap there and an opportunity for Hakimi to get forward, whereas Benjamin Pavard on that right-hand side is a little bit more conservative. I know that's a deliberate thing from Bayern Munich, but what that does is it almost tempts Borussia Dortmund into going down that right-hand side more often than not, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It provides balance for Bayern when they're defending as well. So what you'll see when Davies does move into those high areas...
Hazard, apologies there, Lee. Hazard on the edge of the box. A couple of step-overs. Here's Haaland from the angle. Shot is deflected and ended up rolling across the penalty area, but Alphonso Davies was able to get it clear. Apologies for cutting you there, Lee.
Sure, when Davies moves forward, you see David Alaba will step across more to the left-hand side, and that pulls Boateng and it pulls Pavard over as well to almost make a chain of three when they're in possession. So Pavard doesn't get that high unless the ball's on the right-hand side of the pitch. It's very much, as you say, deliberate, just to give that little bit of balance and protection.
Hazard's ball into the box, cut out at that near post by David Alaba. No defender wants to deal with balls like that. Low, hard across the pitch. And when you're facing your own goal there, anything can happen. Does well to just get his foot around it and make sure that it goes away from his goalkeeper's goal.
Yes, definitely.
Matt Hummels has come forward, but the corner's taken short. It's delivered into the penalty area towards that far post. Headed back. Julian Brandt can't get it under control. The ball's slightly too high. It's still bouncing around inside that Bayern Munich penalty area. And Hummels eventually heads wide.
I think we see that more often nowadays. Those crosses towards the back post, those looping crosses from that kind of area. And they're designed to try to force that, to give the option of the player at the far post to either knock it back across goal or to head for goal themselves. This time Delaney headed back across goal and obviously the chance got away from Dortmund.
Dortmund have a throw in on this right hand side. Just a bit of a miscue there from Lucas Piszczek as that ball came forward from Bayern Munich, but fortunately his centre half was covering in behind him. Here is Benjamin Pavard. A little more infield at the moment. Ball down that right hand side for Kingsley Coman to chase. It's got Guerrero for company. Steps inside. Kingsley Coman puts a ball low into the box. Gnabry was looking to run onto it, but again, good defending. It was cut out as Dortmund look to release Haaland. He's one-on-one with David Alaba here. He skipped past him. It's Erling Braut Haaland. Can he get an opportunity to fire at goal? Again, though, Alphonso Davies' recovery pace gets Bayern Munich out of a hole.
It does so often, and you saw there that Haaland was even able to overpower David Alaba in that position when you think that Alba's got the stronger position of the two players, but Haaland came away with the ball, and just at that point when you expected him to head towards goal and to pull the trigger to find a shot on goal, that's when Davies recovers. And again, it's his ability to get from advanced areas and get back to help his defence so quickly. It's what's key, especially for a player who not so long ago was a left winger. He's not been converted to a left back for that long by Bayern Munich, but he certainly seems to have found his position going forward, I think.
Here's Josh Kimmich under pressure. Plays it back to Manuel Neuer, who so often steps a long way out of his penalty area in order to get involved and be an option for his teammates when they're under pressure.
We see again there Kimmich dropping into the defensive line to help progress the ball by giving them numbers across the pitch. You'll see him do that more often. He almost makes a back three with the two centre halves, and when Haaland's trying to press the ball, it gives him a 3-on-1 advantage and allows him to find the space before they can progress the ball forward.
For our viewers that don't necessarily watch Bundesliga football very often, it is worth noting that, just got an opportunity here for Bayern in behind. Muller looked to get there, but Piszczek was alert to it, and the ball ends up harmlessly back with Roman Bürki in the end. I just wanted to make the point about Erling Haaland, who we were talking about just a moment ago, broke free of David Alaba, but it's worth noting he's not your typical big centre forward, is he? He's got that frame, and he looks like a target man, but he's also got the pace to get in behind, as you've said on numerous occasions, Lee.
Yeah. Certainly, you think looking at him that he likes the ball played to feet where he can control the ball and bring others into play, but instead Haaland is always looking for the pass in between. You can see him there moving across the front line.
Great switch
He's
of play
looking
there.
for pockets.
Delaney plays Guerrero on this left hand side. That was an excellent switch of play. Can't help but feel it should have been done just a split second earlier. Here's Dahoud on the edge of the box. Brandt delivers towards that far post. It's poor delivery in the end. The idea was right, though.
The idea was right. Pull him at one side and then the ball gets quickly switched to the other side where Julian Brandt's moved into a pocket of space. Usually his delivery from that kind of area is better, but it's quite a difficult cross to play, that hard, flat cross across on that angle. You're trusting one of your attacking players to be making that run to get on the path of the ball.
Here is David Alaba in possession. 34 minutes played. About to hit the 35th minute. There you go. For those of you using the manual sync. 35 minutes and 5 seconds on the clock. Here's Jerome Boateng.
You can see now that Pavard's over there on the far side of the pitch, still in quite a deep position as we talked about not 5 minutes ago.
Here's Gnabry making a run in behind again. Bürki alert to it. Manages to keep it in possession as well. Here's Hakimi now on this right-hand side. Brandt taking up a position slightly more to the right of centre in this last few moments.
He'll continue to do that. He'll move around the final third of the pitch as much as possible. He's looking to try to find the side of the ball, the side of the pitch that the ball's on, so that he can become active, as we see now.
Here is Julian Brandt. Now Hakimi. Plays it out to this left-hand side, taken on the chest there by Hazard, approaching the penalty area. His pass is blocked. Kingsley Coman will pick it up for Bayern Munich. Back to Pavard. Uses Manuel Neuer. Clearance is a poor one. And Dortmund have another opportunity to inflict some damage on this Bayern Munich defence. Here's Hazard. Julian Brandt's come out there now. Switches the play. Here's Piszczek. Inside to Dahoud. Akanji under pressure from Kingsley Coman, forced back to his goalkeeper. Berkey with a long driven pass towards the right hand side, cut out though by Alphonso Davies. Just begins a run. Once he gets in full tilt, very, very difficult to keep up with Alphonso Davies, not just in a defensive sense.
Definitely. He likes to make those runs that are slightly inverted. He likes to make diagonal runs from there into the penalty area in the corners. But he's very dangerous because obviously any challenge, any chance you take him down, you're going to give away a penalty, so he knows he can carry the ball at distance there.
Delaney's attempted ball over the top, just cut out there. Involved in a clash there with Serge Gnabry, and the referees judged that to be a Borussia Dortmund free kick. I think it was the right decision. Gnabry got plenty of the ball, but he certainly wrestled Delaney out of the way there as Dortmund looked to play a ball over the top once more. This time Boateng is equal to it. This is our second Bayern Munich game that we're covering for Total Football Analysis in terms of a live broadcast. And I have to say I've been pretty impressed with Boateng, who many have written off in recent months.
He's a different player to he was when he was in his peak, perhaps. He's somebody who, if Nicolas Zula, for example, was fit, we likely wouldn't have seen Jerome Boateng play for Bayern over the course of these two games that we've watched. But he does still have the same kind of composure. He's not as athletic as he once was. He doesn't have that pace. And the passing at times could be a little bit sloppy, but certainly he's done well in this game so far.
Here's Davis. Brilliant skill. He's beaten 3 or 4 Dortmund men there. He's in the penalty area under the challenge of Matt Hummels. Referee not interested. But that's exactly what you were talking about, Lee. That ability to drive into the penalty area diagonally almost. Dancing past players there. Matt Hummels comes across. Just a good old-fashioned shoulder barge in the end. But you can see the danger that he possesses.
And that's what we saw from Davies before Bayern signed him, and he was still playing in Canada. He played as a left winger, very much an attacking player. He loved to get on the ball and take players on. That's what makes him so dangerous coming from left back, where he's able to get up ahead of steam with the ball at his feet and really affect the play. His frame's so big for a player playing at left back as well. He's very tall and very powerful as well as being quick. Makes him exceptionally difficult to stop, especially with his quick feet in the penalty area.
And you make the point about him coming from the left-back position, and that does often mean that you go a little bit unnoticed, don't you? And you arrive late, and it makes it very difficult for people to pick up your runs.
Definitely.
Ball breaks to the edge of the box. It's fired goalwards. Berkey beats it away. Here's Davis under pressure there. Dortmund have conceded a throw in there, but just see that effort again from, I believe it was Leon Goretzka. Ball breaks to the edge of the box. He just cuts across it nicely, but it's right down the throat of Roman Berkey, never really causing him any major problems. Approaching half time here, around about 5 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Here's Coman. Here's Muller. His attempted cross is blocked at the near post by Matt Hummels. Of course, former Bayern Munich man as well. Just so surreal seeing the Signal Iduna Park without that colourful crowd inside it. Josh Kimmich is going to take the corner for Bayern Munich. He's going to deliver it right-footed. Here it comes into the penalty area. Everybody's missed it. It's bounced all the way through. Guerrero again on this right-hand side, and it's obviously something to do with the way they set up for corners. And Guerrero finds himself on this side every time that happens. Here's Gnabry.
Yeah, they'll try and break as quickly as they can, but Bayern are very, very dangerous with corner kicks. They've got a lot of players with good height and good aerial reach.
Here's Goretzka. Looks to chip it in towards the goal. He's not happy with something there. He's gone down, but the referee, again, not interested.
I think that's just Leon Goretzka. He's very often unhappy when he's challenged like that.
He's got such a similar running style to Thomas Müller.
Yep.
That it's very easy to get the pair confused, but you just see that drive and that determination that resembles Thomas Müller.
A similar awkward style when they carry the ball as well. It's quite uncanny.
Here's Julian Brandt. Will turn and face Bayern Munich. Here's Hakimi on this right hand side. Like to see him try and beat his man a little bit more often. Is he maybe less inclined to do that because it's Alphonso Davies he's come up against today?
Potentially. I mean, he has the pace. Given the right opportunity and the right ball area, the right area the ball's played into, we could well see Hakimi try to take Davies on for pace, and it would be very close between the two of them.
Here's Koeman.
But Hakimi just looks off his game slightly for me.
Here's Kimmich. Dinks it in towards Müller. I agree with you, he does. Based on the Hakimi that we saw against Schalke just a couple of weekends ago now. Here's Lewandowski. You can see he's come outside of the penalty area, that little bit deeper to try and get more involved in the game. Here's Serge Gnabry. Pavard will deliver. Cross deflected. Delaney gets a foot to it, but it's only as far as Alphonso Davies. You can see Alaba tempted to make that run on the outside. He didn't do it in the end though. Probably from fear of Bayern being dispossessed. Here's Kimmich from the edge of the box. Looks to chip Berkey. That's a wonderful goal from Joshua Kimmich. That is an absolute screamer. In a game of this magnitude, Josh Kimmich with a delightful chip towards the far post. The goalkeeper got a hand to it, but there was absolutely no chance of him keeping that out. And Bayern Munich lead.
This goal is all about the individual quality of Joshua Kimmich. You see him when he comes on the ball at the edge of the penalty area. He's very, very smart. He's got high football IQ. That's why he's so good as a pivot player. But as he opens his body out here and he sees the keeper slightly off the line, to judge the weight of the ball, to find that flight, to get the ball up and then back down again. You can see there, it's fully meant. He wasn't looking at the goal. He knew where the keeper was. He just knew that he had to get the ball over to that quadrant of the net. And it's a great finish. I think that Dortmund are slightly hard done to here. To be a goal behind just before half time will be a sucker punch for them going into the break. But now we might see the game start to change a little bit. We could well see Bayern start to dominate possession a little more.
That is an incredible finish from Joshua Kimmich. You're absolutely right. A player of such a high footballing IQ. His third Bundesliga goal of the season. It's a marvellous chip. It's the kind of goal that every football fan loves to see. Unless you support Borussia Dortmund, of course. But it's a sensational piece of skill. And Bayern come forward again with an opportunity maybe to double their lead right on the stroke of half-time.
And Kimmich's an interesting player in himself. He was primarily a right back for years. And then, similar to Philipp Lahm, when he used to play for Bayern Munich, he made that transition under Pep Guardiola into the base of the midfield. Joshua Kimmich's done the same thing. Just to get a player of that quality and that intelligence on the ball in central areas is really key for Bayern Munich, and we see why there.
And there will be some harsh critics out there that will say that Roman Berkey shouldn't be beat from there, but nobody could have envisaged that moment of absolute genius from Josh Kimmich there.
Definitely. Sometimes you just have to accept the quality of the shot rather than blaming the goalkeeper. Yes, he could have moved his feet quicker. He could have perhaps been in better position when Kimmich picked up possession, but those are all points that are very difficult in the heat of the moment.
Absolutely. Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 1 as we approach half-time. A real sucker punch to Lucien Favre's side, who have done pretty well, in my opinion, up until now. They'll be really disappointed to be behind, and this is exactly the type of game that Bayern Munich want now.
Yep. They'll look to do this. They'll play the ball around a little bit more in the back line. They'll try and pull Dortmund out towards them, and then they'll hit that space behind. With players like Coman, Nabry, Davies, they've all got that capacity to play quickly into spaces behind the Dortmund defence if they do start to step out a little bit more.
Here's Hakimi on this right-hand side. Turns back. Plays it to Piszczek. Under pressure from Lewandowski. Delaney with a nice first-time pass out to Hakimi on this right-hand side. Can Dortmund respond before the break? Joshua Kimmich's moment of brilliance. Individual magic separates these two sides at the moment. The half-time whistle goes at Signal Iduna Park. It's Borussia Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 1. Joshua Kimmich with an outrageous chip from the edge of the penalty area separates the two sides, and Lucien Favre's Borussia Dortmund go in with their heads down, unfortunately for them. But there was nothing they could do about it. They've been pretty good. They've given as good as they've got so far, but they find themselves behind at the break. It's Dortmund 0, Bayern Munich 1. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Don't go anywhere. We'll be taking your halftime questions, so we'll give you just a moment or so to get those into the chat box, and we'll be with you in just a moment. Hello and welcome back to Total Football Analysis's live coverage of the Bundesliga. We're bringing you live commentary and analysis from Borussia Dortmund versus Bayern Munich in Der Klassiker, the away side currently leading by a 0-0 thanks to a moment of individual brilliance from Joshua Kimmich. I'm joined by Lee Scott. Lee, before we dive into the listener questions and comments, let's have your brief thoughts on that first half.
I think, as we said at half-time, I think that Dortmund will feel hard done to go in a goal down at the break. They've perhaps been the better side for large stretches of the game, but as the half progressed and Bayern started to come into it a little bit more, we saw Dortmund make more mistakes in their transitional attacks. They struggled to really move the ball efficiently into the Bayern penalty area, but certainly they can't argue with the quality of the goal, and I think that it'll be interesting to see how that sets up the second half as we go forward.
Absolutely. Let's go to a couple of questions coming in from some of you guys who are listening to us via the Hot Mic app. This one comes from Chris Hooper. He says, you think that they are trying to overload Bayern's left-hand side and then get Haaland in between Alaba and Davies? So he's talking about Borussia Dortmund. It's Chris Hooper. He says, do you think they're trying to overload Bayern's left-hand side and then get Haaland in between Alaba and Davies? What do you think, Lee and Harry?
They're definitely trying to overload that side, Harry. You touched on it in the first half that perhaps they're not attacking down the opposite side because Benjamin Pavard is deeper and he is in more of a compact defensive position when Dortmund get the ball. I think that's always the danger when you have a player at left back like Alphonso Davies. For all that he gives you going forward, he still gives you a little bit of a threat in transition because the space is vacated. But as we talked about in the first half, what we see is David Alaba shifting across more to that left-hand side. Don't forget that up until very recently, he was a left back and a world-class left back at that, so he's very capable of defending out in those zones. I think that Haaland will shift over to that side to try and hit in transition, but it's more down to Hakimi really to take advantage of those spaces, and that's something we haven't seen very much in the first half. Expect to see Haaland more try to pull off the other side. So as the attack goes down that side, as they try to hit the space behind Davies, Haaland will be trying to shift into space between the two central defenders, where he can hope for the ball to be crossed in, as we saw in the game against Schalke, where he found that pocket of space between the two central defenders and scored his goal.
Here's a question for you, Lee. This one comes from David, who's been watching alongside us throughout that first 45 minutes. He says, how much work would clubs do with attackers on expected goals? Would they be saying to them not to shoot from certain areas due to little chance of scoring, or is that too much interference? Interesting question.
No, I think that it depends on the club. There are some clubs who very much buy into an expected goals philosophy, and what that is for those that don't know, it's a way of calculating how likely a shot is to be converted into a goal, depending on where the shot's taken from. So a shot from well outside the area gives you a low percentage chance, so it's a low XG score. A shot from the 6-yard box is a very high XG score, and there's different things that go into that. There's the position of defenders, there's the position of the goalkeeping that can all be brought into an XG model. Some clubs certainly do say to their players, and that's more of a player development and a youth development philosophy, as you're teaching young strikers, you're teaching them the areas that they want to get in to be able to convert those chances. I couldn't say for sure whether Dortmund or Bayern do that with their strikers, but certainly that's something that clubs are becoming more and more aware of as it gets more accepted in the mainstream football.
Absolutely. Let's take a couple of there's one more question here. We'll take that and then we'll go on to some of the comments, because there's been a few comments as well. This question comes from Jamie, and he says, where do you think Canada should use Davies to get the most out of him when they host the World Cup in 2026? I guess the question is, should he be used as a left back, or should Canada be looking to maybe use him in a more advanced position?
I think that's a difficult question to answer without knowing exactly what Canada's system will look like going into that. Davies is a player who is so dangerous and so athletic. He's got the ability to play different positions. Very similar to Gareth Bale, for those who remember when he first broke through. He was a left back, then he became a left winger, then he became an attacking midfielder, then he became a striker. Alphonso Davies has got the same kind of profile that he could play in a variety of different roles for Canada. I would expect to see Canada use him in a more attacking role, similar, I suppose, to David Alaba, the centre-half for Bayern. When he plays for Austria, he plays as a central midfielder. So some national teams, because of the profile of the player, they find ways to get them into more advanced areas.
Absolutely. Let's touch on some of the comments that we've had coming through. Matty Lewis says Dortmund will have it all to do now in the second half. They'll be attacking the famous South Stand. How they could do with the yellow wall to spur them on. Couldn't agree with you more, mate. Corey says in regards to Kimmich's chip, what a chip. Bayern so clinical. He also says Bayern have their work cut out for the second half, in my opinion. Harshal says interesting duel between Alphonso Davies and Hakimi on this side. Absolutely. And David also predicts a Bayern. Well, he predicted it during the first half. I've got to say, I'm getting to these a little bit late, but he predicted Bayern to win this one by 3-1. So his bet is very much still alive and kicking. We're almost ready to resume the second half. Are you expecting much change in terms of the way that Borussia Dortmund have approached this game, Lee?
I think their approach will be largely the same. They need to be more efficient with the way that they move the ball into the final third and try to access the Bayern penalty area a bit quicker in order to take advantage of the transitional attacks that they do get. But the dangerous thing now for them is that Bayern will be happier to sit in a more compact shape. They will play the ball, as we saw at the end of the first half. They were playing the ball between Kimmich and the centre halves a little bit more. They're trying to tempt Dortmund to start pressing and to lose patience a little bit to come and try and get the ball so they can get back into this game. And as soon as that happens, Bayern are one of the most efficient and ruthless sides in European football at taking advantage of the spaces in the defensive third that will start to appear if Dortmund start to get a little bit heavy in terms of their pressing. So certainly expect Dortmund still to be attacking the same way. What we might see different is the way that Bayern Munich attack.
They've also got some options on the bench in an attacking sense. Of course, Jadon Sancho's there. He's got 17 goals this season. Mario Götze is also on the bench. Another man who represented Germany. Reina is on the bench as well, who of course missed out from the Schalke game due to a late injury in the warm-up. So there are options for Lucien Favre's side if they're struggling to turn this around.
Yeah, I think so. I think expect to see Sancho come on. Is that Sancho now that we're seeing on our TV, perhaps?
I think it is. It's Jadon Sancho. He's going to be coming on for this second half.
And Emre Can as well there as well. So 2 substitutions by the looks of things for Dortmund for the second half. I would imagine it'd be Torgan Hazard, but we'll get confirmation of that soon. Torgan Hazard and Emre Can's going into the midfield by the looks of it.
We just await confirmation on the 2 players who have made way to accommodate them.
It makes sense. I mean, Sancho's a more dominant attacking player than Torgan Hazard is. His ability to make things happen is much better than Torgan Hazard. Although Hazard is perhaps more functional in the defensive phase, Sancho gives you far more going forward.
Just wondering if it's Delaney that's gone off in the centre of the midfield.
It looks like it could well be.
It looks that way for sure. We're back underway anyway in the second half. Borussia Dortmund have around about 45 minutes to save their title hopes. Bayern Munich lead thanks to Josh Kimmich's goal. No, it's Julian Brandt that's gone off for Sancho.
That's a surprise. You have to wonder if there's a problem there if Brandt's picked up a knock in the first half.
Certainly seems that way because he, for me, was one of the players that looked like he could create that. He could split open that Bayern Munich defence with a single pass. But Bayern have a corner here, which Josh Kimmich is going to take. Julian Brandt has gone off. He's been replaced by Jadon Sancho, and it is Delaney that's been replaced by Cham. Ball into the box, headed clear at the near post by Haaland, who's back doing his defensive work. He'll pick up the ball now as Dortmund look to break. Miscontrol though, and Alphonso Davies will play it into Goretzka. Here's Coman. Now Pavard, who's come forward on this right hand side. Gnabry. Here's Haaland. Bayern have it back though. Alphonso Davies is absolutely everywhere.
Yes, he is.
Here he is in possession again. Goretzka lays it back to Alaba now. Boateng under a little bit of pressure from Haaland.
Of course, the beauty of Jadon Sancho is that he can play anywhere across that front line. He's equally capable on the left or on the right. So he gives Dortmund more options now in terms of versatility if they want to do different things for the second half.
Absolutely. Don't forget, if you're tuned in via the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel, Head over to the Hot Mic app. Here's Kingsley Coman in behind this Dortmund defence. It's a cross into the penalty area. It's overhit. It's a poor delivery. And it's a wasted opportunity for Bayern Munich. It's got to do better there.
That was incredibly poor. Just hit the ball high, low and hard across the goal. And that situation, try and lead the striker to the ball to get the opportunity in front of goal. And that, as we talked about XG beforehand, if that cross had found the striker in the centre of the goal, that would have been a very high XG chance.
Don't forget to hit that like button if you're watching us via the Hot Mic app. Here is Jadon Sancho in possession now. For those of you looking to use the manual synchronization option, we're currently on the 47th minute and the 35th second. Here's a Kanji. Out to this left-hand side. Sancho will pick it up. Steps inside Kingsley Coman. Plays it back to Hummels. He plays it out to this right-hand side. Hakimi will take it down. Looks for a ball in behind for Sancho, who'd come over to this right-hand side. Here's Emre Can.
And Sancho will drift. You can see him now. When he played that ball back to Hummels, he immediately made the run over towards the far side of the field before then looking to break into the penalty area. He'll be allowed to move freely around the final third to try and find those pockets and holes.
Here's Dahoud driving forward for Dortmund. Steps inside Kimmich, fires from the edge of the box. Comfortable take in the end though for Manuel Neuer. But Dahoud is another player who's shown he has the ability to step out of that deeper midfield position and take the game to his opponent.
Yeah, it's very much tactical for Dortmund to keep their midfielders in more of a strict tactical situation. They like to keep them compact and in the centre of the field where they can shield the defence. All the attack and thrust tends to go through the attackers and through the wing backs. But maybe in this second half we will see Dahoud and Can start to move forward a little bit to affect play higher up.
Here's Hakimi. Hazard pulled out to this right hand side. Sancho's out there too at the moment. Again highlighting that fluidity in terms of his positioning that Lee's just mentioned. Serge Gnabry's grown a little bit of a tash there. Are they coming back into fashion? Have I missed something? Here's Matt Hummels in possession. Kanji. Guerrero on this left hand side. He's not got forward anywhere near as much as he usually does, or as much as he'd have liked to. Here's Hakimi. Ball inside. Haaland looks to turn on it. His loose touch allows Boateng to regain possession. He finds Neuer, and Neuer clears it upfield.
And that is what the knocks on Erling Haaland. Sometimes his touch does let him down in those situations. The ball can just get away from him slightly.
Here's Coman on this right hand side approaching the Dortmund penalty area, held up by 3 players there. Lewandowski plays it back to Alphonso Davies. Late joining the party this time. It's not like him. Here's Boateng. David Alaba. As Matt Hummels shepherds that ball back to his goalkeeper Roman Bürki, of course beaten by that sensational chip from Joshua Kimmich at the end of that first half. Here's Gnabry. Lewandowski muscled out of it in the end. Seen a few tweets and messages during that half-time break of people, I guess, criticising Bürki for not being able to keep Kimmich's effort out, but I stand by my point during the first half. That is an incredible piece of skill. It's the surprise factor, and I certainly am not holding him responsible.
No, it's extremely difficult. I mean, yes, his positioning could have been better, but that's easy in hindsight to say that. That was a period of sustained attack where Munich weren't able to get into the penalty area. Then all of a sudden, for the ball to be set back to Kimmich, the last thing that Bürki would expect at that point was to get chipped at his back post.
Agreed. Here's Haaland. Wins back possession for Dortmund high up the field here. Guerrero's gotten forward on this left-hand side. Jadon Sancho making a run in behind. Guerrero looks inside though, and the pass is a poor one. And the danger is averted, at least temporarily.
Again, it's just really sloppy from Dortmund. They have to execute these passes in the final third far better if they want to get back into this game.
Lucien Favre just looking on, shielding his eyes from the sun. Here is Jadon Sancho. His pass is a sloppy one. Lewandowski's picked it up. Fortunately for him, though, Akanji was about... Oh, Lewandowski's won it back. They look to engineer some space for Lewandowski to have a shot. He does get a shot away in the end, but it's blocked. Here's Goretzka. Into Pavard, who's come forward. Kingsley Coman. 1-on-1 with Guerrero here. Looks to skip past him. Does. Delivers into the box. Berkey gets a hand to it. Just diverts it away from Lewandowski, who was loitering at the far post. Coman dispossessed. Boateng plays it all the way back to his goalkeeper. And Bayern will start again. Bayern do that so well, don't they? Rather than give up possession, they go all the way back and they start again. And they do it time and time again.
Yeah, and it's designed to pull the opposition out. Bayern are so used to playing against teams that sit in a compact defensive block just in their defensive third, almost where we see Dortmund now. They're used to playing teams who sit that way and who aren't interested in attacking and counter-attacking all that much. And Bayern used that pass back to the centre-halves and back to Neuer as a mechanism to pull the other team forward.
Shot from the edge of the box is another good save from Roman Berkey. Gets another important arm to the ball. Here's Gnabry inside the box. He cuts it back towards Lewandowski and is cleared away there at the near post by Matt Hummels. He's gone down in a heap. But it's a really, really good stop from Berkey there.
Yeah, it got down really, really well. And that'll perhaps pay to a lot of the people who were perhaps criticising him at the end of the first half for conceding that goal. He did very well to get down there to tip the ball, get a strong hand to the ball and push it out. But we're seeing more opportunities now for Bayern, and they're coming from mistakes from Dortmund. Dortmund have to be careful. If this game goes to 2-0 and they face the prospect of Bayern just upping their possession game and closing the game out.
Absolutely, and we saw him just a moment or two ago get an important hand to Kingsley Coman's cross and prevent the ball finding Robert Lewandowski. He's just made a wonderful save with that same right arm, for which he deserves much credit. 54 minutes played. Dortmund 0, Bayern 1. Dortmund just allowing this sloppy side to get into their game, and it started to happen towards the end of the first period. They were punished for it by Joshua Kimmich. They're in danger of allowing Bayern Munich to put this game out of sight, aren't they?
Yeah, Bayern are the exact opposite. They're clinical. Their possession game is very good. Their passes are crisp and clean, and they're moving the ball forward almost at ease at times against this Dortmund team. Dortmund need to be a little calmer in possession and take their time to find those opportunities to play through.
Here's Coman. Good challenge this time from Guerrero. Here's Jadon Sancho. Muller working back brilliantly. Sancho's pass is a poor one. Boateng just holding off the challenge of Hazard there. As Bayern Munich come again. Jamie says, very tough to criticise Berkey. No way of expecting Kimmich to shoot there with a chip. If he was further back on his line, it would have left far more space to shoot at. I think he means in the near post, maybe. The comment's just cut off there.
Just at goal, I think the goalkeepers take up those slightly advanced positions to cut off the angle.
Here is Gnabry. Looks to dance his way past Hakimi, but he just lost his footing there. And the wing back gets back. He plays a good ball down the right flank for Haaland, who's pulled out to this right hand side. Lovely bit of skill to beat Kimmich. Looks for Hazard in behind, but Boateng will get there. He's a very competent reader of the game, isn't he, Jerome Boateng?
He is. He's very experienced, and that's something that comes with experience. He's seen so many situations with similar positions of the ball and the teammates and players of the opposition. He kind of knows what to expect when the ball moves into the final third in those areas, and that's something that shouldn't be undervalued by teams when they're looking to recruit central defenders. They need to be able to read the game and understand angles and positions.
Absolutely. Ball's gone out for a throw in on that far side. Try and take it quickly. There's Alaba out to this left hand side. Serge Gnabry 1-on-1 with Hakimi. All inside Muller's touch. is a loose one. Dortmund have it back as a result. Here's Emre Can. Not had much of an impact since he's come on.
No, certainly not. It's interesting to see the way that the left side for Bayern's interacting at the moment. Usually what we see is Serge Gnabry come off the left flank to open the space for Davies to move into. But in the second half so far, we've seen Gnabry almost hold the width, stay out in the touchline, and that's allowing Davies to move almost into the half space as an inverted fullback. So he's coming inside Gnabry and attacking those areas instead.
Almost caught in possession there inside his own penalty area. Could that be a deliberate ploy in order to try and keep Hakimi back a little bit?
Yeah, it's quite likely. You could exactly be right there. Keeping the right wing back pinged back a little bit more will give more space for Bayern to move into.
Here's Can, switches the play out to this right hand side. Here is Hakimi. Now Jadon Sancho. Hakimi's continued his run. Sancho forced back. Emre Can lays it out to this left hand side, taken under control by Hazard. Lays it off to Haaland. The defender in front of him lost his footing, but Haaland still managed to strike the ball at Jerome Boateng there, it looked like.
And that was the opportunity. The overload in the far side. There was a space for the man over who got possession of the ball, finding Haaland. And as soon as the defender slips there, you think that he's going to take advantage. It does look like he perhaps blocked the ball with his shoulder.
It's come off the arm. And has it diverted the ball away from the goal? That is the question here. Certainly has, hasn't it?
So.
Surely they're going to take a look at that. Nope. Play continues. The corner's delivered.
I mean, Dortmund would be very unhappy when they watch this back after the game and see that. But still, Haaland should have hit the target.
He's got to hit the target there, particularly when Boateng loses his footing. He's got to have that presence of mind as a top quality striker in that kind of position to just think for, that split second, that thought. It's that quick thought that separates, the good from the very elite. And just got to lift that ball off the ground and give Manuel Neuer something to think about.
Again, similar to the way that we spoke about Boateng, that's something that strikers tend to get through experience. And I would be surprised if Haaland does add that to his game as he gains more match time. Certainly, if that was Robert Lewandowski, you like to think that he would have taken the right shot every time.
Absolutely. But it is important to remember that Erling Haaland is just 19 years old. And because he's so good, 13 goals in 13 games, it's often easy to forget just how young he is. But he is a player with a long way to go in terms of his development, and based on what he's shown so far, the sky's the limit.
Yeah, his development is still very much an ongoing process, and that's why I believe he made the right choice in choosing to join Borussia Dortmund as opposed to some of the perhaps more high-profile sides that were linked to him at the time before he made the transfer. Dortmund are a club who'll continue his development. They'll allow him to make those mistakes, and they'll help him to reach his potential, which, as you say, is limitless at this stage.
Absolutely. Part of the ongoing discussion we've been having about that, the Josh Kimmich chip, is we've been saying that we don't necessarily blame Roman Bürki. We've got a comment coming through of a slightly different view, which is absolutely fine. We want to hear your views. Keep them coming. He says, it's you, and he says, Bürki got there and turned his hand to flick the ball over the bar instead of using his full palm to knock the ball out to the right. I'll have to see that again. But, it could be an interesting point. Thank you for your comment, Ewan. Much appreciated. Peter also says Bayern's press is overwhelming Dortmund in the build-up, surprisingly. We're seeing Dortmund a little bit sloppy, a little bit casual in and around their own penalty area once again. But this time they've managed to escape with possession intact. Here's a Kanji just stepping out of that defence. Finds Guerrero on this left-hand side. Not much in the way of options, though. Hazard's come out to support him, but he was never really offering any sort of angle. Emre Can caught in possession there. That's sloppy, especially for somebody who's just come onto the pitch. Here's Dahoud now. Dortmund have it back. Ball out to this right-hand side. Hakimi takes it under control. Sancho makes the run down the flank, trying to take Davis away with him. Switches the ball. Here's Hazard attacking the Bayern Munich penalty area from this left-hand side. Edge of the box, Dahoud. Can he get a shot away? He looked like he was trying to find Sancho on the right, but his pass was deflected. And as a result, Borussia Dortmund have a corner. 61 minutes played here at Signal Iduna Park.
That was better from Dortmund. They were a bit calmer in possession. They moved the ball well from one side to the other, and that's what they have to do to try and open up spaces in the Bayern box.
Absolutely, the corner's taken short. Sancho opts not to load it into the penalty area. Here is Guerrero on this left-hand side from a slightly different angle, left-footed towards that far post, hooked away. Great touch there from Dahoud. Again, starting to show that he can impact this game a little bit further forward. You can see he is slightly more adventurous in his approach, isn't he?
Yes, he definitely is, and that's something he does have. When he first came through Borussia Mönchengladbach, he was more of a box-to-box presence in midfield. Kind of being converted more into a deeper playmaker by Dortmund as part of their two-man midfield in this system. But he does have the skill set to move forward.
Bayern Munich have themselves a free kick after Achraf Hakimi took down Thomas Müller. Looked like a shoulder challenge, but it was probably just a little bit overzealous from the wing back. I don't think the referee had much option but to award the visitors a free kick there.
The Kimmich again going to take for Bayern. He takes all the set pieces for Bayern Munich. Another sign of just how important he is to them at this young age.
Chipped in towards that far post, towards Robert Lewandowski, but slightly overhit. Polish striker can't get anywhere near it. The ball bounces harmlessly out for a Borussia Dortmund goal kick.
Would expect we'll see Bayern Munich make a couple of changes soon now at the 63rd minute. Another 3 or 4 minutes and you're kind of starting to think that you're loading the players' legs a little bit much.
Of course, and they too have plenty of options from the substitutes bench. Here come the home side, looking to find a way back into this game, looking to salvage their Bundesliga title hopes. Can't help but feel that if Bayern Munich win here tonight, it is all over. They'll have a 7-point lead over Lucien Favre's side. Here's Emre Can. Here's Sancho. Piszczek in possession now, finds a Kanji. Here's Guerrero. Again, great footwork from Dahoud. This time coming out to this left-hand side. Not sure what the referee's given against him here, though. He's certainly
I think the ball might be out.
But mightily close. We haven't had a replay, unfortunately. So we'll take the official's word for it at this stage. Don't forget, guys, the Total Football Analysis magazine from June is going weekly. Same price, just more content. And why wouldn't you be excited by that? Of course, the Total Football Analysis EPL podcast is also available on all major podcast stores. Why not head over to the website and subscribe? Analytical football content like you will not find anywhere else. Here's Müller. Pavard looks to release Kingsley Coman on that right hand side. Late challenge there from Thomas Müller on a Kanji. Free kick given Dortmund's way. He's been shown the yellow card as well. I believe that is the first one for a Bayern Munich player. Certainly late. Can't have any complaints about that, can he?
That was slightly clumsy more than anything else. It's something that we see quite often from Thomas Müller, but you see that he gets away with these things so often because he always tends to do these things with a smile. Very similar to Fernandinho at Manchester City with his ability to break up attacks, and he's always smiling at the referees. He does so, trying to get off from the yellow card.
One of football's genuine nice guys. Here's Dahoud. Saying that though, he's still a real winner, a real competitor. Dahoud's going to pick up a yellow card now as well for that challenge on Josh Kimmich.
And that one looked a little bit harder than the Müller one just beforehand. Just the ball gets away from him a little bit, and as he's lunging towards the ball, touches the ball first, but then you see the follow through on Kimmich's ankle.
It is a yellow card, and I'm inclined to say it's probably not anything more than that, because it is a genuine attempt to get the ball, but it's his first yellow card in the Bundesliga this season. David says there's very little movement ahead of the ball from Dortmund. They've got to try and pull players around. I think it's absolutely right.
we're seeing a little bit more on the far side with Davies' side at left back. We're seeing Jadon Sancho and Hakimi try to interact with one another there to pin Davies back a little bit more and then to create space in around there that they can play. But it's very difficult to do so at the moment. They really need Haaland to be able to receive the ball a couple of times to pull the Dortmund midfield forward and start to create opportunities that they can play more in the final third. They need to control the game a little bit more than they are at the moment. At the moment, all they're trying to do is play in those transitional attacks, which are great and effective. But there comes a point where you have to change the game plan slightly if it's not being successful.
We were talking about in the first half the fact that Dortmund had most of the possession, which was strange because we expected Bayern to have it, but that has flatlined and it's evened out now, hasn't it, with Bayern Munich having 51%, so just slightly more. Yeah. But it just, since that's happened, since the game has kind of evened out, you've seen Bayern Munich be just that little bit more clinical in those dangerous positions, and as a result, they lead this game. And this could be... Go ahead, mate.
At this point, it feels more likely that Bayern are going to get a second goal rather than Dortmund are going to find an equaliser, unless they can find that space in the final third. But I think they're really missing Julian Brandt so far in this half.
Agreed, and we don't know why Julian Brandt was taken off, but we can assume that there was some sort of issue. Otherwise, why would he have come off? I guess it's as simple as that, really. Dortmund are preparing to make another change. They're preparing to bring Reina on. Not sure who will be making way. Just Haaland running into the referee off of the ball there and apologising.
I would imagine it would be Hazard off for Reina.
Here's Sancho, lays it off to Emre Can, lets one go from the edge of the penalty area, quite a way out in the end actually. I say the edge of the penalty area, but it was a good 25-30 yards out. Here's Jadon Sancho. Been pretty fluid in his movement, but maybe hasn't used the ball as well as Julian Brandt might have done.
I think Sancho's just feeling his way into the game a little bit. Don't forget, he hasn't started yet in the 3 games that Dortmund have had since they came back from the break. Perhaps there has been a conditioning issue or issues with the fitness that are preventing Dortmund from using him from the start, because obviously he is a player who's hugely important to them in the way that they try to attack, and his output in terms of goals and assists has been incredible this season, so you'd expect to see him used more as the season progresses and comes closer to an end.
For those of you using the manual synchronization feature, we are on the 69th minute and 40th second. Here's Lewandowski. Wins his team a throw in there. Don't forget to smash that like button if you're listening via the Hot Mic app, or of course on the Total Football Analysis YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe to us on all platforms. Lee, how can people follow you for your expert analysis on social media?
You can find me on @FM Analysis, but make sure you follow the Total Football Analysis Twitter account. That's where we put all of our analysis content out. And currently we have over 130 analysts working within Total Football Analysis and our development system and with the website itself. So there's a lot of content going out each and every day to make you aware of what's happening in the world of football.
Brilliant stuff it is. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you subscribe to the Total Football Analysis magazine, because I've already mentioned, in the space of a month has gone from a monthly magazine to weekly, which is incredible. Here comes Jadon Sancho down this left-hand side for Borussia Dortmund. One-on-one with Jerome Boateng here. Looks to deliver into the penalty area. Manuel Neuer opted to let it go in the end, which was risky considering Haaland's position there. But it was the right call in the end.
Massively risky, but this is an excellent ball. The way that he just waits it so it just drops in front of where Neuer would be going down for it. That's very difficult for the goalkeeper to put it in the end of. But Haaland, if he was just 1 or 2 yards further forward, and it is Haaland who's coming off for Reina.
He looks injured, Haaland, which is a huge blow for Lucien Favre's side. He's not been moving very freely for a while now, Erling Braut Haaland, to be honest. Not surprised to see him make way.
Now Dortmund are playing with no striker essentially. None of the 3 advanced midfielders, Reina, Sancho and Hazard, are all more attacking midfielders than they are strikers.
Here come Bayern in search of a second goal. Can they put this game beyond doubt? Here's Kingsley Coman on the right-hand side of the Dortmund penalty area. Cuts it back. Gnabry takes it under control, but finds himself with his back to the Dortmund goal and quite a few yards away from the edge of the Borussia Dortmund penalty area, having taken a bit of a loose touch. Here's Boateng. Bayern have the ball on the halfway line now. Pavard. Tell us a little bit about Rainer Lee. Is he somebody to look out for? I know he was due to start the derby, wasn't he? But he pulled up in the warm-up.
He was indeed. His dad is Claudio Reina, the former US international that played for Fulham and Rangers, amongst other teams in Britain. Very technical player, good in tight areas. He's got great feet, very good close control. He moves the ball very well away from defenders. And he also carries a goal threat running in from those kind of half spaces where you see the Dortmund advanced midfielders take up position. He's certainly a very exciting player. At 17 years old, he's the latest one kind of that Dortmund have taken into the first team and committed first team minutes to in order to help their development. That's something that Dortmund do better than most teams in European football, especially for a team of their stature. For them to put such an onus in developing players in that way is hugely impressive.
Absolutely, and it's also key to their business model, isn't it? Just while we were speaking there, Bayern Munich have made a substitution. Kingsley Coman has been replaced by the Croatian Ivan Perisic, who had his first touch there but gave the ball away. Matt Hummels brings the ball out of the Dortmund defence but is forced backwards. Here comes Hakimi, first chance to stretch his legs down this right hand side for a while actually. Loose ball picked up by Reina there, the ball cannons back off him, but Dortmund win themselves a free kick on the edge of the penalty area. Alphonso Davies shown a yellow card. Certainly, well, just watching that
it looks like he
again.
got the ball there, certainly. Looks like he won the ball with the challenge, and then perhaps the follow-through went into the attacker a little bit more, but not maliciously. Even if that was a free kick, I don't think it deserved a yellow card.
No, I agree, and you could see by the reaction of not only Davies but all the players around him that they were adamant he'd got the ball there. But nonetheless, it's going to be a free kick to Borussia Dortmund. Corey asks if we're covering the Leverkusen game next. We're not covering any more games today, unfortunately, my friend, but we'll be back very, very soon. Give us a follow and we'll keep you updated on all future broadcasts. We'll be putting out our schedule for next week's games. Free kick here, left-footed, driven. It's straight at Manuel Neuer there from Rafael Guerreiro. Going to have to do something a lot more special than that if he's going to breach Bayern's goal there.
Certainly, a little bit more whip, a little bit more height in the free kick would have helped, but it's difficult in that kind of situation when the ball is so close to the penalty area. It's hard to get the ball up and down in that short space of time, that short distance.
Almost goes up with Lewandowski there. Headed straight back though from Boateng. Here come the home side once more. Jadon Sancho takes the ball under control. He's got Davies for company. Here's Müller out to this left-hand side for Bayern. Perisic plays a ball into the channel for Alphonso Davies to get onto. Plays it across to Müller. Looks to switch the play. Can Gnabry get this under control? No, it's just overhit. Manages to keep the ball in play though. Back to Kimmich. Sets himself, delivers into the penalty area, headed away by Hummels. Only as far as Perisic, who swings his left foot at it. That's well over. He's not challenging Roman Berkey.
I'm not entirely sure what Perisic was thinking there. He had time and space to take the ball down and try to do something effective, but instead he just obviously swung his foot at the ball, perhaps a rush of blood to the head, having knocked him onto the pitch long ago, trying to make an impact in a short space of time for his team.
That ball's going to come down with snow on it. Such was the wildness of Ivan Perisic's effort there. Here's the Hood.
But then no striker, like there's nobody in the centre.
They're all gathered on this left-hand side, but that's no good for Dortmund. Yeah. They need bodies in the penalty area.
They certainly do.
The Hood's shot blocked. It's going to take something very special to beat Manuel Neuer from that sort of range. Here's Hazard. Here's Emre Can. Skips past Perisic's challenge. Puts it across the penalty area. And it's a golden opportunity missed there by Borussia Dortmund. It's Hazard who's missed it. Just seeing that again. Surely the flag must have gone
offside.
up. It did. He was offside there.
But even then, that's the left wing back who's in the centre of the Bayern Munich box trying to take advantage of that cross. Dortmund need to think about how they're going to find a focal point in the attack that they can play off.
Manuel Neuer takes the resulting free kick.
And
Offside
Guerrero
in
should
the
have
end.
finished it.
Absolutely.
He should have finished it anyway.
Offside in the end, so it wouldn't have counted, but just a warning sign for Bayern Munich that Dortmund can cause them problems. Corey says, I'm here in the States and I prefer you guys' insight and analysis over Alexi Lalas and the like. Thank you very much, my friend. Really, really appreciate that. And like I said, give us a follow and you'll never miss a future broadcast. Peter P says, I'd say they are smartly keeping possession away from their goal and still creating a few chances. I think he's talking about Bayern Munich there. Don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already. Share the broadcast.
Was it Mario Götze is about to come on for Dortmund? He's somebody who has played as a striker before, but more as a withdrawn, almost false nine forward. That might be something that we're going to see in the last 10 minutes for Dortmund in this match.
And a man whose name is etched in German football history, isn't it?
Certainly is. And the history of these two clubs, don't forget, very acrimonious departure from Dortmund to go and join Bayern Munich before health issues really prevented him from making an impact under Pep Guardiola when everyone thought that he would become the next great German talent. It never quite came off for him. Still a ridiculously talented footballer and very technical and very tactically intelligent player too.
Absolutely, there's no question about that. Here's Emre Can winding up a shot, it looks like, but he decides against it. Probably the right decision. Hakimi's delivery cut out at that near post by David Alaba.
Alaba has hardly put a foot wrong in this match.
He's been fantastic. We're just seeing that change take place now. It is Mario Götze wearing the number 10 shirt for Borussia Dortmund, and he's replacing Lukas Piszczek, the captain. Slight change of shape for Borussia Dortmund.
Dortmund will go to a back four now. Or alternatively, Emre Can could drop back into the defensive line.
What have you made of Emre Can's performance? I haven't been overly impressed since he's entered the pitch.
I think it's been difficult again to get up the tempo of the game. He's a player who has the ability to really impact the game in both in the attacking and defensive phase.
Here's Reina across the penalty area. Götze touches a poor one, but it finds its way to a Dortmund man anyway. De Hood strikes from the edge of the box. It's a good save from Neuer. Götze looks to bring it back low across the penalty area, but the flag's gone up. But it's another warning sign for Bayern Munich. This time it's Mahoud Dahoud.
And that's better from Dortmund. You can see the occupation in the Bayern box. They're getting players centrally in areas where they can affect the play and they can cause Bayern problems. And when the shot comes in from Dahoud, it's actually a very good save, a strong hand from Manuel Neuer. So you probably expect him to get the ball further out of his goal in that situation.
Just see the swerve on the ball there as well. Slightly wrong-footed Neuer, but having set his body, he was able to adapt and get that strong hand, as you mentioned, to it. Josh Kimmich got a goal today. He's completed 88% of his passes. It's pretty good going. Here's Robert Lewandowski on this right-hand side. Delivers into the penalty area. It's flicked on towards the far post. Muller's there. His pass is cut out. Here's Alphonso Davies. Delivers back into the box towards Lewandowski. Berkey with a vital interception. Rolls it short to Matt Hummels. 9 minutes plus stoppage time remaining here at Signal Iduna Park. Can Borussia Dortmund find a way back into this game and keep their title chances alive? Here's Neuer in possession. Plays it out towards this left-hand side. It's flicked on by Perisic. Muller's pulled up on that left-hand side for Bayern. Decides to turn back in the end.
And it looks like Can has gone back in the defensive line now. So it's still a back three from Dortmund with Hummels out on the far side and Chan central.
Interesting to see that even at this stage, they're not willing to take that additional risk. I mean, ultimately, what it does do, though, by playing that way, is it does keep some freedom on those wing backs, I guess, whereas a back four kind of restricts them that little bit more. Here's Lewandowski from the edge of the box, left-footed, and is cannoned off the post. That is a fantastic effort from Lewandowski with his left foot. Just opened up his body, took his time, and looked to place it. Did it take a deflection off Matt Hummels there? Not sure from that first replay. We'll have to have another look. But his effort comes cannoning off the post. Roman Berkey at full strength, but he can't get anywhere near it.
And that's part of the beauty of Robert Lewandowski. He can take any kind of shot. He's strong in the air, good with the ball on his left, good with the ball on the right. He's good in the penalty area. And he can also take advantage of those chances from deep. Don't forget, not many people might remember this, but when he first signed for Borussia Dortmund a long time ago now from Polish football, he was a number 10. He wasn't a striker. So he was a player who was used to getting the ball in those kind of areas and having to fashion chances for himself and be more creative in that way, in the way that he gets angles for shots. And we saw that there. Textbook the way that he opened up his body and then just tried to curl the ball round the goalkeeper in the corner.
Absolutely, and it's that kind of talent, it's that kind of technique that has seen him score 41 goals in all competitions so far this season. That is incredible. A remarkable figure. Here is the Hood again for Dortmund. Skips past the challenge of Kimmich as Dortmund look to fashion something. They're desperate. Here's Hazard.
Again, though, nobody's central in around the penalty area there for Dortmund.
They're relying on the likes of Dahoud to arrive late on the edge of the box, aren't they? But Bayern have got their shape. Not going to be easy to breach them without somebody at least trying to occupy those central defenders.
I think if the scoreline stays like this could be a game where Lucien Favre comes under some level of criticism from the fan base. The fact that they've not really been able to find a way to change their game plan in the final third is really showing.
Could you forgive him a little bit because of the fact that he's had to lose Haaland in the way he has? Because that would be his role, wouldn't it? To occupy the central defenders, to take up those central positions. Just a change for Bayern Munich here. They're bringing on Hernandez for Boateng, and Borussia Dortmund have taken off Dahoud. Surprisingly, actually, because I thought he had a good game. Up until this point, he's been replaced by Axel Witsel.
I think two changes that make a lot of sense at this point. Boateng's legs perhaps going a little bit. Lucas Hernandez is very highly rated, 24-year-old centre-half. Spent time playing in Spain. He is, I think I'm not sure if he's made his international debut for France yet, but he has certainly declared for France. He could be part of their squad going forward. Very combative, very quick defender. Very good change for Bayern, I think. Axel Witsel should just be like for like with Dahoud.
Here is Witsel, his first involvement in the game. Here's Hummels, switches the ball out to this right hand side. It's taken under control by Hakimi. Witsel picks it up. Here's Reina. Back to Akanji, who's moved to the right of the Borussia Dortmund defence since Lucas Piszczek's departure. Here's Emre Can. Matt Hummels under pressure. Plays it out to this right hand side. And Reina getting under control. It's a difficult ball to control. He can't in the end, and Alphonso Davies just shepherds it out of play. Bayern are preparing to make yet another change. Javi Martinez.
Emre Can was back in midfield again for Dortmund there, so it might be that they have gone to a two-man backline now. So perhaps Favre is starting to recognise that something needs to change in order to get back at the game in the last few minutes.
Could be too little too late though, with just over 4 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Certainly not a long time for Dortmund to find a way back into this game to save their Bundesliga title dream, or at least keep it alive. Here's Akanji. Here's Goetze. Ball goes out of play to Dortmund, throwing on this near side. Bayern are going to make that change. Javi Martinez is coming on. And he's going to replace number 22, Serge Gnabry. Just signs now that Bayern are looking to shut up shop in this last couple of minutes.
Yes, absolutely. Javi Martinez is more of a defensive-minded player. Can play centre half, can play place in midfield. Very experienced, good passer of the ball, and good defender.
Here's Guerrero, plays it inside. Axel Witsel now. He plays it inside. Emre Can. Bayern quite happy to hold their shape inside their own half. Allow Dortmund to have the ball when they cross the halfway line. Bayern up the intensity. Ball's hooked away by Lucas Hernandez there. Lucien Favre starting to get very animated on the touchline for Borussia Dortmund. He's desperate to see his team find a way back into this game. It's a great diagonal pass there from Mario Götze. Hakimi has it. Can't beat Perisic though.
And Dortmund are finding those spaces. They're finding those passes to underloaded sides of the pitch where they've got players isolated against defenders, but they're not taking advantage of the isolation. They're not finding ways to get past the defender from Bayern, and that's what's slowing the progression of the ball and slowing the ball into the penalty area. Everything just needs to be a little bit quicker and a little bit sharper.
Absolutely. Manuel Neuer will take this goal kick for Bayern Munich. He's in no rush, and why would he be? Bayern Munich lead Borussia Dortmund by a 0-0 at Signal Iduna Park thanks to Joshua Kimmich's delightful chip towards the back end of that first period. Dortmund up until now have been unable to come up with any sort of reply. Hakimi does battle with Perisic there. The Croatian comes out on top though. He'll put the ball into the box with his left foot. Miscued by Witsel and Hummels there. Martinez tries to turn it back into the penalty area. Hummels flicks it away rather flamboyantly. Here come Bayern, another opportunity. Lewandowski into Goretzka, flicks it on. There's Thomas Müller. Guerrero got back and just managed to do enough to put him off. Haaland watching on there with a mask on. Don't think he's wearing it properly, which kind of defeats the object of having the mask on in the first place. But there you go. Footballers, eh? Here is a Kanji. Guerrero plays it inside to Axel Witsel. Kanji looking for that diagonal pass again. It's been a common theme in the last 15 minutes or so for Dortmund. Here's Jadon Sancho. Done everything right until that final ball.
He did. Took the ball down very well and looked to come inside, and that's what he brings to the game, that ability to drift in from wide position, to commit Bayern defenders, but perhaps not seen enough of it from him in the second half, and that's something that Dortmund hope that they'll see more going towards the end of the season, because he's a player who really has the ability to affect games in the final third for Dortmund.
Bayern have a free kick midway inside their own half. Manuel Neuer is going to take it. There's 3 minutes of stoppage time to be played here. 3 minutes for Borussia Dortmund to try and prevent Bayern Munich stretching their lead at the top of the Bundesliga to 7 points, which you've got to feel will be decisive. Flicked on for Robert Lewandowski. Akanji shoves him out of the way there. Looked a little bit overzealous to me.
There was definitely an argument there for a penalty, even with the ball gone. That kind of contact from a defender and a striker. And Lewandowski is noted for his physical strength and his upper body strength, and even he was flung to the ground there.
It's not going to be a penalty though. The goal kick's been taken, but I mean, we talk about the old-fashioned shoulder-to-shoulder clashes, you know, that so many people talk about, but that was just a blatant shove. The referee's going over to the coach here. Going over to Hansi Flick, who's obviously livid about that decision. He can't believe it. Don't worry, lads. Keep your distance. Referee giving him a telling off. We're just seeing it again. It's flicked on from Müller. And that is just... There is no intention from Akanji to get the ball there.
And that's the point where the striker would be looking to hit the ball if he was going to get a shot away. So Akanji's very lucky that Lewandowski wasn't actually in the action of shooting there, or that could have been a very different story.
Absolutely. There is Reina for Borussia Dortmund. Bayern getting players back behind the ball as they look to protect this narrow lead. Here's Hakimi on this right-hand side. He'll deliver into the penalty area. Headed clear by Josh Kimmich, who was at the front post. It's flicked back into the penalty area, but none of the Dortmund players were alive to it. Manuel Neuer has it at his feet. And of course, Manuel Neuer doing what Manuel Neuer does. And that's wait for the opponent to come and close him down before picking up the ball.
Signed a new contract this week as well at the club, which is obviously a statement from the club that they're happy with him, despite the fact that they signed a promising young goalkeeper in Alexander Nubel from Schalke.
Absolutely, the club captain as well, Manuel Neuer. Real important figure at the Allianz Arena.
And Bayern they like experienced players. You see the likes of Boateng still there. You see Müller, Lewandowski even. Players like that, having Martinez still around the squad. They value experienced heads to help the younger players to develop and come through.
Absolutely. It's about finding that balance, isn't it? And you
Definitely.
could maybe argue in games such as this, Dortmund's kind of different approach is maybe a problem for them. Bayern have won 5 of the last 6 meetings between these two. It's going to be 6 from 7 now.
Yep.
So, experience is key. Of course, youth is good too, and it's great to develop players, but you're seeing 2 completely different approaches here. Maybe, and probably it's because Dortmund don't necessarily have the finances to compete with Bayern Munich, but there is that factor as well, isn't there? The experience does help, particularly in games like this.
I think you're right. Balance is key.
Here is Goretzka. Here's Lewandowski. Opportunity to finish the game off. His shot is blocked by Witsel, had got back, and the final whistle goes at Signal Iduna Park. You can see how much this victory means to Bayern Munich, and Josh Kimmich in particular, who's celebrating there. Hansi Flick is happy. Bayern Munich are happy. They've extended their lead at the top of the Bundesliga to 7 points, and you've got to feel now that the title is there. We're just seeing those in the director's box exchanging elbow pumps or whatever you want to call them. But it was a great game. Very much enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It's been fantastic, and to those of you who have tuned in via Hot Mic or via YouTube, we appreciate every single one of you coming along and watching the game alongside us. Lee, let's just quickly sum up this 90 minutes. It was an enjoyable game. Bayern just proving to be too clinical, and like you said, maybe Dortmund not having that and that tactical ability to change things up.
Yeah, I think that was the problem in the end. When Dortmund got ahead at the end of the first half, when Bayern Munich got ahead at the end of the first half, you saw them almost close the game out, using their experience, using their awareness, their ability just to close down defensively to prevent Dortmund from breaking through in the second half. Dortmund slowed down. They didn't up the tempo the way that I thought they would as the second half progressed. I expected to see more of them going forward, but you're right. Losing Haaland to what looked like a stretch or a knock of some kind was a blow that took away their focal point, and they struggled to replace him. But that's an issue with the squad building for Dortmund. That's something they have to address, having a backup, a second option should Haaland not be available for games like this, because they really missed having that focal point that the attack could build around.
Just seeing that chip again on our screens from Joshua Kimmich. It's magnificent, isn't it?
It's a great
brilliant piece of skill to spot the opportunity and to take the opportunity. The idea can be there, but if you haven't got the quality to execute it, then it's pointless. We're just seeing that, I guess, a penalty appeal for Dortmund as Boateng. He does turn his back, but his arm is out, and it does divert the ball away from Manuel Neuer's
He moves his arm
goal.
towards the ball, which I think is the issue. When you see him turn his back, he moves his arm out, and that's the arm that strikes the ball, or the ball strikes that arm. Certainly, I think that if they had looked more closely at that, that could well have been a penalty kick.
But what I find strange is the lack of appeal from the Borussia Dortmund players that were in and around that area. I mean, I know if that was me, I'd be going absolutely mad. So I'm surprised that there wasn't much of an appeal there. And I'm not saying that that's influenced the officials necessarily in not looking at it, but you've got to apply some pressure on the team of officials at times, obviously in the right way, to make sure that certain things do get looked at. Lee, we're going to round up by getting your man of the match from this evening's game. And I know I've put you on the spot here because I haven't prepared you for this. But let's have your man of the match from today's game.
I think not just for his goal, but for his all-round play. I think Joshua Kimmich, he was the player who controlled the game from beginning to end for Bayern. He was the key player in their build-up play. He was always there defensively to make blocks, to make challenges, and of course he had that magnificent piece of skill to finish it and get the goal.
Absolutely, I second that. I'd have given it to Joshua Kimmich as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. That brings us to the end of the broadcast. Don't forget, head over to totalfootballanalysis.com. Give them a follow on Twitter. Give Lee a follow at FM Analysis on Twitter. Give myself a follow at Harry Symeou. And check out our YouTube channel. And you can find Total Football Analysis on a wide variety of platforms. So please do head over, check it out. And keep an eye on our social media feeds for the games we'll be covering next. Don't forget, if you are watching us for the first time via the Hot Mic app, give us a follow. That way you'll never miss a broadcast. And if you haven't already, just before we sign off, hit that like button too. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Hope you enjoy the rest of the football. And we'll be back very soon. Until then, take care.